זו הפרשה ויחי ליום ראשון. ויחי יעקב בארץ מצרים. Ma parasha dit c'est Timaa. C'est une parasha Vayehi. Yaacov dit ce parasha c'est Tuma. What does it mean c'est Tuma? I mean it's closed. I mean there's no space between the end of the preceding parasha to the beginning of this parasha. רבי יעקב אמר, בשעתה דמית יעקב הסתימו עיניהו דישראל. Rabbi, who says that? He says the comment. He said that when Rabbi Yaakov passed away, the eyes of Bnei Israel closed, which means that they went from being free men to starting being slaves. ויהודה אמר, וכדן נחתי לגלותה, השתעבדו בהון. And then it's then, when he died, that they went down into the galut. רבי שמעון אמר, מה כתיב לאלה? וישב ישראל בארץ מצרים בארץ גושן, ויחזו בה, ויבכו, וירבו מאוד. וכתיב, ויהי יעקב דלה יתחזה להפחשה בעדה לידה. רבי שמעון says, what is written right above that? So that Israel lived in Eretz Israel, in the Eretz Goshen, and they multiplied me'od. And then right after it's written, Vayehi Yaacov, and Yaakov lived. So one of the reasons is you cannot separate between these two Pesukim. One, that Bnei Israel multiplied, and then Vayehi, that Yaakov lived. Ma'inu kamim betafnukin de malchin v'kibelu anuga v'chisufin negarmeu. It's like Bnei Israel at that time, they received all this reward. Uf Yaakov na mekayam betafnukin malchin be'inuga v'chisufa negarmeu. He says also Yaakov at this time was also with this pleasures, if we want, that his sons are multiplying and multiplying. That's why it was not separated. That's why it's written Vayehi, and he lived. And it's written that he lived in Israel. Why? Because all his years before he was suffering. He suffered working at Lavan, he suffered the separation of Yosef, etc. Besara ishtakachu ale, ketiv lo shalvati velo shakati velo nachti. Yabo rogez aval batar denachat Mitzrayim ikre vayehi. So after all this suffering, when he finally lived in Egypt, we say vayehi, he lived. He saw his son Yosef, the king, and he saw all his other sons, the tzadikim. And he was living amongst them as a good wine. It's an expression to say that he was happy. Vayehi Yaakov. That's why it's written Vayehi Yaakov. Vela parish ben vayivchu vayirbu be'od levayti Yaakov v'achit chazeh. Shevar Shana. He said for 17 years he lived in Egypt. Matama Shevar Shana. Ela amar Rabbi Shimon kol yomo de Yaakov b'sara avo. Because, like we said, all his days were of suffering. B'sara avar lon bekadmita, kivan dechama Yosef v'chavakaim kamei. He says, and yes, he was suffering, but when Yosef was born, then he was happy, and he became to be happy. Kad Yaakov mistakel b'Yosef avayishtelim. When he used to look at Yosef, he used to see his mother, Rachel. Because the beauty of Yosef was as the beauty of Rachel. And then he was so happy with his son that it's like if he never suffered in his life. ואחד יוסף דרש מיני, כדי קיים לא שברתי ולא שקעתי ולא נחתי ויבוא רוגז דדקה שיעלה ליעקב מכל מדי עבד. But when he was separated from his son Yosef, when he was sold to the Egyptian, so then he became very sad. And he was even more sad than what he was before. בזמנה דהתפרש יוסף מיני מקטיב, and when Yosef separated from him, what is it written? יוסף בן 17 שנה היה הורה וגומר. יכול יומין ליעקב לאהבה לשרה כהי. It says it's written that Yosef was 17 years old and he was a shepherd. And all the days of Yaacov were like happy days in those times. But after, when he left, then he was crying every day for the 17 years that he was separated from Yosef. What did he tell him from Shamayim? Yosef, Yashit Yado al Nenecha, Halach Sheva et Cheshana Acharanim Beinugim Tefnukim Ve'anaot Amadim. They told him, Yosef will close your eyes, so you will have another 17 years of pleasure. Vayehi Yaacov be'eretz Yisrael Sheva et Cheshana ve'gomer, as it is written, and Yaakov lived 17 years in Egypt. Tana kol inut shenit shechita yikara dekutcha b'dichurime yishtekach v'ikach hayim ikron. He said, we have learned all these years that the Shekhinah was with him during the 17 years, and that's why we say Vayehi, that he lived. In other words, to live is only possible when we live with the Shekhinah, and